Hello, Oak Bloke here. So this is covering Baker Steel resources, and it's basically the news this morning that let's just go back to this. It's the news this morning that there's a prospective offer for Futura. Futura being one of its large assets. So it's this update here, and um, the net asset value's gone up to 89.8p. No, actually, that's yesterday's news. Okay, let me go and grab today's news, which is right. It was here a minute ago. Let me find it. There it is. Future of financing potential transaction. There we go. Right. So this is yes, quite interesting. Yep, this is quite interesting. So yeah, so IRH, who people might know through Jubilee, involved in the waste rock project Mufalira, based in the UAE, has loaned some money to Futura, 15 million Australian. And this article says, well, there's some potential upside here, folks, because the price that potentially they will be able to buy Futura for is three Australian 15, whereas the carrying value is 221. So there's an upside. But obviously, like, how much upside are we actually talking here? Well, let's find out. So what I did was basically took what the valuation of Futura is, which is the 11.3 million shares. It's that's valued at 12.4 million, and that's at a rate of two Australian and two to a pound, which isn't today's rate. Today's rate's 207. So I'm going to show you that there's actually a loss through that. But that even so, don't worry, there's still good news. Then we're looking at a royalty that remains untouched. If IRH buy Futura, the revenue from the royalty will just remain with Baker Steel. So that's still worth 16.8. And then the convertible loan. Now, interestingly, well, convertible means that you can turn it into shares. If you can sell those shares for $3.15, well, that's potentially attractive as well. And here we can see I had to dig around to get this, but the conversion price would be 238. 238, either 238 or 20% discount from 315. So obviously 238 is better. And also that there's a loan that was made at an interest rate of 2% per month. It's a 3-month loan that also came with 200,000 warrants. So there's also 200,000 warrants to consider, and there's 50,000 interest that Baker Steel have charged for the loan of 800,000. Okay, so that's kind of the news. Well, you can see it here. So what I've done is I've taken the shares, the warrants, and the convertibles, and I've converted those at the 238 rate. So the 4.7 million, sorry, 4.7 million Australian loan would convert into 1.97 million shares. At today's rate, 2.07, the cost of that would be minus 14.86. So in other words, 14.86 is the NAV cost of that. I mean, technically, that's not in the NAV because you'd have to buy the warrants in order to sell the warrants. So it would cost you 190,000 to buy the warrants that you would then sell on at £300,000. So you obviously flip these at £110,000 profit. The convertible. This is the this number here, essentially taking that conversion rate is, and I suppose maybe we take think what that conversion. I think because that is valued at the 202. So if we do, let's have a look. So obviously that number doesn't add up, but if we do uh, four divide that by 2.02, I mean we get to 2.3 million. So quite where the valuation of 2.7 comes from, I guess that's probably accrued interest. So in other, I mean it's got to be, because when you use their exchange rate, you don't get 2.7 million from 4.7 million. In fact, what you'd be looking at is if you said 4.7 divided by 2.7, well, that's like saying the Australian dollar is $1.74 to the pound, which it clearly is not. so, I'd say almost certainly my number there is correct. Okay, and there's actually 430,000 or thereabouts of interest accrued, owing to Baker Steel. So yeah, that number would be sort of 400,000-ish on top. Anyway, all of that comes to a cost of 14.86. So that's the money that you'd be giving up. The proceeds at $3.15 using that FX rate would come to this, which is 20 million. So essentially, this is the news this morning means that this is a 5.66 million increase to the, assuming this goes ahead, which it may or may not. I mean, there's no certainty of that. What that looks like, I mean, the whole thing's at a discount today of 44%, okay, 44.3%. That's comparing the share price. I haven't changed that, but that's now 50p, 54p. And I'm using the 50p sell price as the valuation of the market cap here. Obviously, to buy that at 54p, assuming that there's no no discount on the spread. I mean, you're still looking at 39.9. So let's use 54p just to be on the safe side. If you sort of consider that there's listed holdings in here, then the discount's larger. It's actually over 50% once you strip out cash and listed holdings. So that Futura that potentially could be worth 5.6 million more, plus still have the revenue royalty, the 1.5% royalty. That's what you're getting at half price, essentially. What I've also done is just go through all of the listed holdings compared to the end of April, the last NAV update. There is actually 160,000 of share price increases, and much of that is Caledonia. That's gone up in price. It was £9.80 at the end of April. It's £10.30 today, so it's gone up 5%. And some of them have dropped, but overall, that's up. If you consider that the royalty, the gold royalty on Bilboes is cash-like, and you could, because arguably you could sell a royalty to a royalty company. There are several of those out there, and it is already suitably discounted. So could you sell it for at or close to that price? Potentially, yes. If you agree with that, that becomes, the listed is not sort of 50%, but actually you're talking about there being 27 million worth of stuff that's cash like. And so essentially, that works out to be sort of the equivalent of saying, well, you're paying 30 million pounds to get 63 million pounds of assets, and that's essentially the unlisted stuff, including Futura, the coal mine. And that Futura coal mine, if it does sell for that 5.6 million upgrade or price, I mean, obviously that would then turn into cash. So you'd have your cash. So your cash like 27 million would would grow by 20 and a half. So you'd have 47.5 million of cash that you're buying for 57 million. So you're paying 10 million to have, and obviously here you're losing 15 million worth of stuff. So you'd have, um, you know, 40, you'd have 48 of listed holdings for 10 million pounds. So 10 million pounds, 48 million of assets. That, if you can't work that out, is essentially the equivalent of saying, yeah, if we do that minus that is 38, and if we divide that by the 48 that you're getting, just do some brackets around that, that essentially you're getting that at 80% off when you consider it on the basis that these things can turn into cash. I can, so I'm paying a net 10 million for 48 million of stuff. And the 48 million of stuff that's left over, I mean, you'll have seen this in my prior articles, but you've got CMOS, where CMOS potentially is going to start paying a dividend of 4 million. You've got the royalty, and the royalty is potentially going to pay a dividend or a royalty of 3 million uh, over 10 years, I think it is, but with potential for more than 10 years. And then you've got the Bilbo's royalty, which obviously I included in the cash like, but you've also got some other little holdings like Kanga. Um, what else is unlisted? The Prognos royalty. I mean, that might be worth 1.5 million. So, I mean, if we exclude the Bilbos, because I'm saying that could turn into cash theoretically, then you're getting something that's going to cost you 10 million, and that will generate 5 million a year for you, which is a 50% yield. So incredibly good news. Obviously, it's not in the bag; it's just prospective, just to be clear. And none of this is advice. But I'm certainly very pleased about that Baker Steel news this morning. Okay, that's it from the Oak Bloke. Just a quick one there. Cheerio for now. Cheerio.